Hello and namaskaram to all my amazing smart viewers and subscribers. I'm really grateful to all of you for your continued support and my heartfelt gratitude. Thank you. Today, I wanted to talk about something which is very personal to me, and my family has been connected with it since last. I'm the third generation who's carrying it forward. This is very close to my heart. I, I'm sure you must have heard the word philanthropy, okay? I'm a philanthropist and I'll explain what it means. So there are two concepts that are very popular, or let me put it this way. Philanthropy is a different version of charity work, okay? Now, what's the difference between philanthropy and charity, okay? Charity is basically somebody who does something for somebody else, which is a one-time help or a short-term help. Like, I buy a vehicle for somebody as a gift or a charity to some kid, or I am giving somebody one-time scholarship, or I build somebody one-time home, or I give somebody one-time X amount. That is called charity in the more popular term, okay? Philanthropy, on the other hand, is a concept. It is a long-term extended help. And the concept of philanthropy is that you are helping somebody for the long term with specific goals and that you've set up as part of your philanthropy. Okay? Let me explain it a little bit more deeper. So, for example, if I have to help a child with an education that extends for over a couple of years, for example, we find a child who is extremely talented, who has all the qualities that we are seeking for that child. He can be successful, and the only challenge that child has is the financial ability to achieve that kind of an education. So then we start sponsoring that child, whether that child is in fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, then we will help that child all the way till the post graduation that child wants to do. So whatever, so as that child is growing, we are evaluating with, partnering with that child, the child's parents, to see the progress. And suppose that child wants to study in Stanford University. This is a child from India, from some slum area in India, but has the capacity to be educated from a Stanford University. So be it. We will support that child through that process, and we will get him where he desires to be based upon his hard work. And then there are many things. I'll talk about it in a minute. Okay. So I don't know if this concept exists in other parts of the world. I did not have enough time to research about it. But in countries like US, we have a concept called trust. Okay. What is a trust? It is like a personal NGO that, families with much wealth, they create, and then they put that part of their personal wealth into that trust, which runs as a organization. Okay, so it's our own personal NGO, but NGO is it's very different, right? It's a very different concept. So my family, my grandparents, they began a trust. Okay, when they started having enough excess wealth, they started their trust with a couple of crores. Then my parents' generation. So the trust is generally a family owned initiative. So then my parents' generation. So this trust, then it grew from both sides of my parents. They were interested and they all collaborated. So my parents' generation, from both sides, their siblings, they partnered together and they grew that trust into a couple of $1 million. Then now my generation is running it. So all my brothers, sisters, all my cousins. Now we have taken ownership from our parents, and now we've grown from what our parents brought it up to. Now we are much higher than that level. I'm not going to state any numbers. And now we are setting that trust up to be taken over by our future generations, which would be my nieces and nephews, and they will take it into billions of dollars, is what I personally believe. Okay. So what we do is every year each individual of us, right? So I have a X number of companies. A lot of my siblings, some of my siblings are working in companies at very high posts, and some of my siblings are entrepreneurs, businesses, or the venture capitalists, or So we are all in different range of financial situations. So we all, based upon what we can, we kind of collectively put in our money for this philanthropic work into a trust. Okay. Now let's say this trust's name is ABC, just for the sake of example. So trust ABC has X amount of money, and then the way trusts work is, or philanthropic work works is, whenever you get into philanthropic state of mind, you have to start having certain rules under which you would be executing that trust. Okay, how that trust will function. So there's so many issues in the world, right? So you cannot just keep changing. I want to support this cause today, that cause tomorrow, right? So today I want to support for certain health issues. Tomorrow I want to support for something else. Tomorrow I support. Day after tomorrow I want to support something. It doesn't work like that. Philanthropic work means you kind of have to focus on one or two or three particular areas that you want to help humanity on a larger scale, which will be directed towards productivity. And then you have to kind of think through how that productivity is going to help humanity and how. So let me give you an example. Bill Gates, you all have heard that name. He has given most of his money to philanthropic work, and his philanthropic work is primarily focused on health related activities. So he's investing a lot of vaccinations. He wants certain vaccinations to be done freely in like millions and millions of free vaccinations for certain countries. He does his philanthropic trust basically also does a lot of research and development work related to health and things like that. So that's his philanthropic goal. My trust, and just going to say it's my family's trust. We have set up two goals for our trust. One is we set up small enterprises for women who 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 are capable. So we have certain criteria they have to pass through in order for them to be selected to be helped. Okay. The reason why we do that is because anybody will come to us and say, I want to do a business, I want to set up this initiative, I want to do that, and they don't have the capability. So we have to test how capable they are in order for them to run a small enterprise. Okay. So I'll give you a small example, right? So let's assume that there is a lady somewhere in Maharashtra, in some small village, and her name has come up to us. So we vet her out, her character, what are her qualities, what are her values, what kind of a standing she has in the society, what are her challenges, and is she capable to run an enterprise, small enterprise. For example, let's say we are setting up a tailoring unit for her, small tailoring unit, right? So it's not us about investing money, right? Just buying somebody 10 of 50 tailoring machines and getting them a rented place is not our objective. We have to ensure that that lady has everything she needs in order for her to be successful. So she has to sustain that business and grow that business. Okay. And so we have to evaluate quite a few things. What are the things that might happen if there are losses, and how she's going to sustain it? Do we have the backup of enough? And we plan certain things, right? So when we try to help a lady, then like that, let's call her Sheila, okay, for the sake of this example. So Sheila we will provide her with not just buying the equipment, renting the place for a period of time. Let's say we rent her a place for 2 years, because after that, then we expect her to be sustaining the rent or whatever the requirement is. We rent her a place, we make sure we pay all the bills for that place, the electricity, we get her the phones, we get her the tailoring equipment, we get her everything, the training, all of that is done, right? That's the financial aspect of it. Now, the second aspect of it is the marketing aspect of it. How is she going to get her business, and how is she going to sustain getting businesses? So then we get her connected to large companies that are from our contact. So we are basically telling them that your work guarantee, we take your work guarantee, right? Because they don't know this Sheila. Sheila has no standing. She doesn't have any standing in the community, in the business community, where people will say, yeah, let's go to Sheila. She will definitely take our order and she'll fulfill our order, right? So we kind of play the in-between person, and because of our reputation, then the company will say, yes, we will give her, a 10 lakh rupees worth of order. And then we make sure we have hired the right kind of staff for her. Those staff are And so when you're setting up such enterprises, you have to also say, what if suddenly 10 women don't show up for work, right? So there are a lot of things you have to think about when you're setting up a business unit. So we have all our we support my staff is right there, helping them. So, and we do this for multiple women at the same time. Okay. And then, Sheila will prove her mantle. She gets used to, because it's also scary for women to get into. They've never. It's been their dream. They are capable, but they've never thought that they can achieve this. We begin small for them. So let's say we begin with 10, 25 machines. We get her small orders. Then we buy. Then she has enough. We see that she has more capacity. We will say, okay, Sheila, we're going to give you 24, 25 more machines. Now we will give you 5 extra embroidery machines that are going to be robotic, and it's going to do the embroidery even at night. We don't need humans to do the work. You feed it into the computer and the machines will generate all the embroidery. So I'm just giving you an example. Then once we see that she's stabilized, okay, then we completely back off. So it's kind of like an 18-month to 2-year project for us to set up a person. So before we invest in Sheila, we have to see that she's capable. She's not somebody who's going to run away. Like, in the middle of 3 months, she'll say, I cannot handle this, man. I'll go and do some little job that I used to do before. So we have to really vet out the person before we invest in it. And we also have to make sure that our money that we're investing is not being misused in any way. Okay. That's one aspect of it. So we help women, especially who have had been in abusive situations, or who were trapped in prostitution rackets. I'm just giving examples. So these kind of things. So these kind of women, then we will try to establish in the community. Then these women, then they start helping other women. They are giving them jobs. Now they're getting wealthier. Now their children are getting educated. Their children are becoming more capable. They get trained in how to become an entrepreneur. So you see, that is the kind of impact that we want on the society. Okay. The second aspect of it, children. So there are many children who are. It's not just about being intelligent. There is, when you look at a child, there are many qualities in a child. And I'm talking about it, let's say about a 10, 12, 13, or between 10 to 15 years of age, right? You can see how that child is developing as a person. If there is a child who has the will, discipline, brains, intelligence, and intellect, and the capacity to succeed in that educational field, but the only challenge is that that child doesn't have the financial backing, then we will support that child. So we are not talking about, hey, my parents cannot pay the fees of my school for 2-3 months because they are irresponsible. They don't know how to manage their finances. They are going through a financial lull. Give us fees for 6 months. No, we don't function that way. I have been told never to go outside the boundaries of my trust to help anybody. But guess what? Sometimes I make mistakes. I still make mistakes. It's just me, okay? So how do we identify these individuals, and how do we find these people? People don't come and contact us. We don't allow that to happen, because there is always 1,000 requests for people. They'll say, I want help. My child is very good at studying. Please help us. Or the woman will say, I want to set up a business. It doesn't work like that. So we partner with many social services. So I don't know if you've heard, there are many government-run social services within every community in generally most of the countries in Southeast Asia, in Africa, in many other parts of the world. We collaborate with them. So these are the people, these are generally the women who are going down door to door and talking about vaccinations, and they're checking on people. So they have these services that either the government has provided, or they are partnering with the government to do some kind of social work. They go to the Anganwadis in villages and in small slum areas, and they are keeping an eye for us. So they will identify people, and they will hear stories, right? Because they're talking to the local people, and they're well connected within the community. So they identify people, because we give them a commission. We give them a commission to identify the right candidate. So that is they have motivation to do that. They identify them, and then what they do is they just get my team, our trusts team connected, and we get the details, and then we have local individuals who will vet out those people. Especially if this is about women, we have to make sure that these women are not just into any kind of bad habits. We don't like women with too much of emotional imbalance, emotional instability, immaturity, or somebody who's constantly having bad reputation in the community. We don't want to indulge with them because we know they'll not be successful. So then once our vetting process is done, then we go through a lot of things, and like for the child, then we partner with the parents for minor children. We generally try to prefer not to sponsor minor children. So our goal is, at least if the child is at least the 10th grade pass, and then we can partner with the parent is better, but not very. But sometimes we've had children who have been very little, and they even for their schools they're not able to facilitate money. Then we provide them with clothing and we purchase their uniforms and things like that, okay, and pay their fees and all. So let's assume this child is in 10th grade or 12th grade pass. They want to do engineering, or they want to do a specific career, and they are able to pass all the NEET exams or whatever else local exams they have in those countries. And but the only challenge is they don't have the money. Then we step in, we vet them out. So once the child is selected, it's not free money, okay? We are not handing them anything, and we are not giving them and saying, oh, now go, chalo, take the money and go study. No, not like that. We pay the institutions. We will get them all the equipment they need. We'll buy them the laptops, whatever else they need. And we have monitoring systems on these systems to make sure that those equipment are not being misjudged. So we have quite stringent rules around that, okay? And then these children have to pass through drug tests every so often. We will randomly send our pathologists to get samples from them and make sure that they're not indulging in anything. Because when we align with these children to make sure we are giving them the long-term goals, right? So you are going to become a productive individual within the society. That's the goal of the child. It's not just about the education and then making money. And we are setting them up for their life, okay? And then we expect them to be decent citizens who are going to then pay forward when they are financially capable out of their own experience. Many of the children will then come back and they'll do the same philanthropic work for other children. So they have to give us reports every day on what's going on. We keep very tight tab on these children. They have to submit reports. We are tracking everything what they're doing. We inculcate certain habits and practices in them, like they have to engage in sports activities. We introduce them to learning music and instruments and art. We put them a little bit into art. So they have to do some certain extracurricular activities as part of the deal that we are giving them, because now we are trying to build their overall personality. We make sure that they get training in getting communications better, their vocabulary gets better, they're speaking very good language. So we are preparing them for their future. So it's a lot of hard work when you get picked for some of our initiatives. So that is the philanthropic aspect of it. So those are the two philanthropic rules that we engage in as part of My Trust. Now, do we want to help others? If we could, yeah, if I had billions of dollars, I would help many other people. Like, I would love to be purchasing, wheelchairs, or, sponsor a lot of blind children. Of course we could, but we cannot spread our wing. We cannot spread in different directions, because philanthropic work then gets diluted. I'll give you a simple example, and it may sound a little distasteful, okay? But here is where the hard choices happen in life. Let's assume that there is a child who is completely paralyzed and has is completely dependent on the parents. That child basically has cannot function as a productive individual. And can you imagine how difficult it must be for parents like that? Now, would I donate $1,000 to that child, or would I prefer to donate $1,000 to a child who is physically and mentally fit, who has all the capabilities to be educated, and to be a productive citizen within the society? So you see, then I have to pick this child, correct? So these are some hard choices that you have to make for philanthropy. It's not about help anybody and everybody who's in a bad situation. It doesn't work like that. And most philanthropic work are always directed towards building more productive and more compassionate societies. Okay, so that is the basic, and there are many guidelines. We can talk about it in another example. Now let's talk about charity. I will introduce you actually to one of the young men that I have hired to work for this YouTube channel, and he's one of our somebody that we have invested in for his full education. And at some point in time, I'll introduce him on our channel. So you see, I'll tell you with this story, I also wanted to kind of introduce the concept of how your ancestors kind of set you up for success. So my life story, I think it was my grandmother's mother who actually initiated a lot of extremely good habits that were inculcated in my grandparents, and the culture, the values, the ethics that then my grandparents inculcated in our parents, and our parents then they inculcated even better habits, and both my grandparents, both sides of my grandparents have very deep rooted, extremely amazing influences on me and everybody in my generation. And so it's a generational thing. So I was set up for success at birth. So just being born in this family, probably I was 50% set up to be successful, and the other 50% is, of course, my personality, my hard work, my sustaining the discipline, my making the right choices. But you see, it takes a village to make somebody successful, okay? And there are many habits that you have to inculcate in your children in order for them to be set up for success, which I will definitely make many videos and series on those, okay? It's a mindset. Success is a mindset, and building wealth, and then philanthropic work. These are all mindsets, okay? We'll talk about that. Now let's talk about the second aspect of it, okay? The charity aspect of it. Charity is a one-time deal generally, or a short-term deal. And so I have many times been told by my family not to indulge in any charity work on the side, which I just cannot. It's just a habit that I need to get better at, okay? But it's a personal choice. So I'm not doing that charity out of my trust money. I'm doing whatever charity I do on the side with my with my non-trust my own money, okay? So let's talk about charity, right? Charity is something that you would do for a short-term period. Basically, it's like, kind of collaborating with a few people to for some initiative, whether it's building a home, whether it is getting somebody a vehicle, whether it is giving somebody one-time sponsorship or money. Correct. So this is basically you give the money, or you do the activity, and then you back off. Okay. On my channel, let me put some ground rules here. I want to build a very positive audience, and my goal for this channel is to influence people in bettering their lives, in improving the quality of their lives, in learning how to become a more productive member of the community, how to set up their children for success. I have a lot of experience and education and knowledge about parenting, psychology, human behavior, what are some of the secrets of building wealth, and some of those things. So I'll be sharing all those things. So what do I want to tell my audience? Anybody who is associated with any of the YouTube channels that I have blacklisted, anybody who's associating with them, any other YouTube channels that are collaborating or tying hands or supporting those blacklisted channels, you are not welcome on my channel. Neither are your subscribers. If you are, I don't even want you to view my videos, okay? So I would just say, please leave us all. We don't need your views, we don't need your engagement, and we don't need your negative energy on my channel. And then anybody who's on my channel, just because I'm supporting a little girl to get her a home, I don't want you to be on my channel if you're just here for that reason. Like I mentioned, I want to build a community of extremely positive people who want to better their lives, who want to learn how things work outside of their strata of the society, and to help not only themselves, their children, but also the community. I only want those kind of individuals. Do I care about subscribers? No, I don't care about your sub counts, your view counts don't matter to me. So please leave. I don't want any negative people on my channel. My channel will grow on its own on the basis of its content. And we are not looking for views or how high our channel is growing. We are only looking to see to impact a handful of people with our quality content, and we are trying to set up as an example for other YouTubers, younger YouTubers who are watching us, to tell them and show them by ourselves doing what we are doing, to show them how they can do something similar and be successful at building a YouTube channel. And if they want to build revenues, they can, absolutely. So anybody who comes on my channel with an attitude or with some kind of arrogance or trying to question what we are doing, I'm going to block. We don't have any time for you trolls or you mosquitoes or any supporters of the mosquitoes and gang. You're not welcome here. Buzz off. Okay. My channel's engagement, I have noticed, has changed in the last couple of weeks drastically. There are many youngsters who are joining my channel as subscribers. My viewers are coming from regions that I want them to come from. So this is not, my channel is not focused on a particular language or on a particular region. It is a global channel. Okay. And anybody who's associated with any of the YouTube gang wars, who are bad-mouthing other women, who are saying bad things, despicable things about children, you all are low-quality scum on this planet. Do not come near my channel. I don't want you to be associated with any of you, okay? You all are engaging in unnecessary activities in low-quality lives. And good luck for you. Do whatever you're doing, but I'm going to not associate with you anymore. I will support that little girl in that initiative for building the home, and I'm watching those women who are leading that initiative, and I will absolutely do whatever I need to in order to help that initiative of building a home for that little girl. Until and unless her mother really screws it up, nothing is going to stop these group of women who are going to get that little girl a safe home. There are individuals who will think that, somebody else is more deserving, or I myself, I'm more deserving. I am also a single mom. I also have a child. I'm also poor. You go find supporters who will help you in a similar way. Okay. This group of supporters, these women, they have picked the candidate that they want to support. They are supporting them with their own money. You don't have any say in how anybody can utilize their money. And this group of women who are trying to build this home for this 11-year-old girl, they are not going and asking the public to give money. Okay, so this is not public's money for the public to have any opinion about it. So if there is anybody who is really barking a lot and making too much noise about being like this, I am calling out these fraud people and things like that, you're wasting your time, because the people who are listening to your channel, they are not the ones who are contributing towards this project. Okay. The second thing is, if you have balls, if you have any kind of dignity, and if you really, really strongly have any proof that there is fraud happening, not just because you think the fraud will happen, because somebody did fraud in the past, the fraud will happen. Those are all unintelligent, uneducated kind of statements. If you have any proof of fraud happening, then you please put a legitimate case in any court of India. And I will promise that I have about 6 to 8 top-notch lawyers of India on my speed dial. Okay. I will engage my lawyer. So you need to have your own lawyer. Okay. But I will come in as a third party. I will take permission from the court, and I will take the ownership of doing the full. I'll bring, it's like, you bring a PricewaterhouseCoopers or some other agency to do the audit in companies, they do the auditing. I will bring in a company to audit. I will engage my lawyers. I'll do a thorough check if any fraud is happening as you are claiming it's happening. Okay. And if it happens, I will expose that the fraud is happening. But if your case is just, you're putting a case with no proof, no substance, and you're doing it only because of your hatred, envy, jealousy, and anger issues, Then, and if we don't find any fraud happening, then I will put a case back on you of where you will have to pay the money back that I have wasted in investing in getting this audit done and investing in engaging my lawyer. So whatever that amount is, whether it is 10 lakh, 20 lakh, 30 lakh that I had to spend in order to prove that no fraud happened, then you, the barking ladies, will have to then give that money back to me. So that is the deal. Okay. So I'm giving you an opportunity to say that if you really strongly feel, other than just barking on YouTube, that there is some real fraud happening, I will support you to prove that fraud. But if you are putting a fake allegation or a case, then you'll have to pay the remuneration of whatever I had to spend to go through that process. You barking on YouTube has no value, okay? And other than the dozen or 2 dozen people that you have who are supporting you, there is no public that is calling out about fraud happening. If you can get evidence that you have public, however, whether you do a signature campaign or whether you have a couple of small YouTubers but you need to have some solid proof that there is fraud happening. You cannot just put a blind case in any court or do a CMB or whatever that means, okay? And to all the YouTubers who say anything bad about any child, you are scum on this planet, okay? It doesn't matter. She said first, I said second, I said 20th time, doesn't matter. Anybody who says anything bad about a child, you are scum on this planet and you are a terrible person, okay? We are working with Google very closely. We've identified a few channels who are doing this on a constant basis, and we will work with Google to get you banned for life for conducting like this. And if you continue to do this, trust me, there are many eyes that are on you right now, and it will not be good for you. So if you really are wanting to make some money out of YouTube, do decent content, and with the decent content, then you will be allowed to make decent money from YouTube. If you continue to bully, badmouth children, set fake narratives, if you are going to spread hatred, and if you are setting fake narratives, trying to incite people against others, then you are in trouble. You could be in big trouble legally also, okay? If you are public and if you have a differing opinion, okay, it's absolutely okay for you to be saying that I do not agree with what XYZ is doing. That is absolutely fine. But you cannot continuously cyberbully on that issue. If you don't have any proof of any wrong activity happening, you are just trying to make bad content on YouTube. And trust me, Google is very much aware of what is going on right now. The second thing I would say is that anybody who's supporting this lady that I have blacklisted from my channel, anybody who's supporting, commenting on her channel in support of her, or any other YouTubers who are supporting her, you are all blacklisted from my channel. Okay, you cannot participate in any of the contests that we have. I'm just beginning with $100 contest. Wait how it keeps growing, and then how we will engage our audience to win those contests. Okay, I don't want anything to do with you. To all the ladies who are supporting this little 11-year-old child to get her home, kudos to you. I really appreciate your initiative, and I think that your intentions are right. I have not noticed anything else. Okay. So the other thing that I want to say as part of this conversation is, so there is always this one conversation about this lady who has a fraud case that was filed on her in 2018. I have investigated that whole situation. We are getting to the bottom of it. And I'm not giving a clean sheet or anything. I'm sure she has some criminal mindset and she's done some things. I'm not giving her clean sheet. But you also have to say that, I also have to say that nothing has improved against her yet, legally. Okay? In the court of law, and this is true for all democratic countries, when a case is filed, until it is proven, you are innocent. You are innocent until proven guilty. So anybody who is using case that has been filed on somebody as a weapon to bully them, to badmouth them, or to set fake narratives, you might get into trouble for that as well. And I have valid evidence on many of these individuals who are doing this thing. So we will provide that evidence to Google directly. Okay. And I have all the FIRs and the legal issues that have happened in multiple countries for all the ladies that are involved in the cyberbullying against this little child. Just letting you know that. I don't really care about that child's mother, okay? She has her own flaws and she's deeply flawed. But I care about that 11-year-old child. So if a group of women are wanting to build a home for that child, back off. Those who are not agreeing with that, you can do a similar initiative, pull together a bunch of people who can pool money and build a home for whoever you think is more deserving. Go do that and prove it to us that you can do it too. I don't think you can, but that's the difference. Okay, so with that, I'm going to end this video. Let's end it with our mantra. Lokaha samasthaha sukhino bhavantu. The translation of which means, may all living beings on our planet Earth be happy and free. With that, I would like to end this video. Goodbye and thank you.